It's the final match of the day here at the Asia Pacific Grandmasters, and it's flown by as far as I'm concerned at least. Shaxy versus Pathra are going to round out the day, and this one's going to be a Rogue versus Warrior, so we're going to see if Rogue can do it again, because Flurry just about got there in the match versus Frosty a little bit earlier today. We can check out the list now and see how these decks are going to line up, because Shaxy is bringing something a little bit different. So this is actually, believe it or not, his primary list, I think. Yeah, it is. So take us through this, because this is not a rogue list we've seen yet today.
Yeah, this is a little spicy. We got 2 Evil Cable Rats. We have Heist Baron Togwaggle in the main list. More ways to generate lackeys. Spirit of the Shark as well as a one-of, which we talked about a bit earlier. There's just so much you can generate, and it just gives you so much stuff to do for so many turns that eventually the warrior can just run out of resources, or whatever your opponent is. Very interesting. Most players didn't have Togwaggle in their main list, but I think with this amount of lackey generation, it just makes sense to have it there.
Yeah, and funnily enough, I feel like out of all the rogue lists we've seen so far, this list feels like it's not going to have those problems that if you don't draw Myras, you've got nothing to do, just because of the value of Spirit of the Shark, either making Giant Van Cleefs or getting you 4 lackeys from Miscreants, 2 lackeys from Cable Rat, etc., 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 means that there's just so much value and card generation available. It's going to be a little bit better. And also, as well, interestingly, as we move on and we can check out the secondary version of the deck, with there's a 4-card difference in the second version. This one's it's a tough one, right? And I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. So this deck, you know, can be good versus Warrior because of the Togwaggles, the extra lackeys, the value of Spirit of the Shark. But the second deck that we can go to has minus Bloodsail Corsair, minus 2 Cable Rats, the Shark's gone, but then Tog Scheme, Harrison, Nomi, and Sprint, which reads Counter Warrior. So right. What's the value and what's the reasoning for 2 sort of almost decks that are good versus Warrior?
Well, the primary deck, I think, is good enough against Warrior, but also good against other decks. Just the fact that Cable Rats in there aren't necessarily just good against Warrior, just having more stuff to do against any deck is good, and it makes sure that the Rogue doesn't run out of resources, as we can see in some matches that have happened today. The secondary list, however, it takes some of those resources out, but also adds Togwaggle Scheme, which means that even if you have a few more dead turns, eventually later on you can throw in a bunch more Togwaggles, a bunch more Leroys. There's a lot of stuff you can do with Togwaggle Scheme. It's pretty flexible. And the Chef Nomi there as well, just for the Myers and Nomi that we've seen from other players too.
Yeah, so it's just more. I feel like this one almost more than some of the other decks we've seen so far, and some of the other secondary and tertiary decks. This gives you a change in playstyle from turn 1. Right, like if you change to this deck against Warrior, you know you can go late game, you can scheme the Tog and so on for some crazy things. Whereas I feel like some of the other secondary decks are more, it's the same, I do the same thing, but it's just got a few tech cards in it, whereas this feels like more of a playstyle change. But let's check out the tertiary deck as well for Shaxy, which does remove the same set of cards, except 1 extra Bloodsail Corsair is removed, and it's added a Sap, 2 Henchclan, 2 Water Plank. So again, feels like the anti-mage killer here going on.
Very similar tech cards that we've seen with all the other rogues today. Just Walk the Plank, Sap, Henchclan, Thugs, very good against mage.
Yeah, it's one of the benefits, or just interesting points, I guess, of Specialist format overall, is that some cards that may not be quite good enough to make main decks, but are good, like Walk the Plank is a pretty solid card, can squeeze in to some of these other, secondary and tertiary decks to be able to see some play and some competitive. So always makes me excited to see some cards we don't see that often. But now we can check out his opponent, which is Pathra, bringing the Bomb Warrior. So we've seen a lot of Bomb Warrior today, but she has Elysiana in her opening deck, not something we've seen yet today, I believe, along with it 1 Execute as well. So just take us through this list and just mainly what bringing these cards into the main deck is actually going to bring to Pathra.
A lot of the choices of which cards you choose in your main deck alludes to what that player thinks is going to be in the meta the most, right? So with Archivist in the main list, Pathra might believe that Warrior might be the most common bring, and in that case you want to make sure the card that you want against Warrior is going to be in your main list, even if that means it weakens your matchup against some other classes. We also see 1 of Execute on top of the normal 2 Shield Slam, so a bit of extra single target removal can help against, for example, an early Edwin where you might not have the necessary armor early enough to use the Shield Slam.
Yes, and interesting because, again, I just feel like different players' approaches to the main deck is interesting me the most right now, because this, again, feels like more hedging your bets a little bit. Whereas if we look at Patra's secondary deck, then we see 2 Eternium Rovers, a Weapons Project, a Brawl, and a Dynomatic removed. And then we see a Baleful Banker, the 2 Augmented Elix, which are not in the core deck,
right,
a Sephorian Bomber, and a Mojo Master Zihi being played. So, you know, like, this is even more going sort of down the rabbit hole, I'd say, in terms of just extreme levels of late game. But, you know, what do you think? And is Warrior just the even harder target in this one?
Yeah, I think it is. I mean, in Warrior Mirrors, it's very rare that you have complete blowouts like we see in some Rogue Mirrors where it's just explosive.
Yeah.
In Warrior, it's very, you know, slow pace. I'll slowly, you know, throw an extra bomb in your deck. Game moves on. By the time we get to Fatigue, there's going to be like, how many bombs? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, depending on what cards you're running. And if you play a game plan where you're going through all 30 cards, all those extra bomb cards you have is just more guaranteed damage.
Right.
And we can see with the Augmented Elix and C4 Bombers, eventually over the course of the game, there's going to be more damage that you have pulled out. So maybe in game 1, if you still go to a tie, and you both get the win because of how the rules work, you know, okay. But then if this happens to be a game 2 or game 3 where you go to Fatigue, the difference in health matters.
Yeah, it really does. And like you said, there are very few scenarios where the bombs don't happen, right? In terms of, say, if you burn them or whatever. But let's move on to the tertiary deck from Patra, which has the minus bomb package, I'm just going to call it, with no goblins, no wrench calibers, no blastmaster boom, but added an additional execute, 2 big game hunters, and 2 super colliders as well. We'll switch onto that in a second, just on the screen for you. But this is again the big mage hunter list, but with a slight twist, with an execute being added as well. So the deck's running 2 executes, and then 2 super colliders. So that's even sort of tech, I would say, through weapon removal.
Yeah, I mean, I don't believe we've seen many of the other warriors go down the execute route. So having the 2 executes are really like in Patra's list, because if you're trying to target the mage, just having more single targets is the way to go. And with her already having 2 Omega Devastators in her primary list and the tertiary list now, it's just more ways to deal with the mage minions and make it to the late game.
Yeah, and I think that's my fault. The key cards did not change on that. Not production, it's completely me. But the super collides there you can see as well. You know, they are in the list. It's just their main cards were the same. But yeah, the big game, the double super collider, it's just whether executes a little bit susceptible to a potential secret. You know, interactions with counterspell or even spellbenders, which might be a little bit of a problem. Not the Emperor Cobras we've talked about sometimes.
Well.
A little bit, I'll say, safer in a different way. But yeah, those are the decks that the players are going to be bringing here. Pathra on the Warrior and Shaxy on the Rogue. And I don't know, I feel like this one feels, for me, like the closer one to call.
Yeah, I mean, the way these lists are built, I think Shaxy definitely has a lot of staying power, and the way he's built his lists are going to be very powerful against Patra's Warrior.
Yeah, we're going to see how it plays out now. See the players just getting ready there as well. I think as well, Pathra lives in France. I believe I don't know if she's there right now, but she does live in France, so the time zone might be an interesting difference for her, because Shaxy's playing on our time zone, of course, which nearly 9 o'clock, I think, or maybe later, and Patra's playing, like, I think, early afternoon or something. So it's just something she might have to look at in terms of time zone of when her match is, because she is playing within the Asia Pacific region. I don't believe she's actually there at the moment, so it's going to be an interesting one there. But looks like we are kicking in game number 1. Shaxy versus Patra, Rogue versus Warrior. Let's see if Rogue can get it done this time.
I'm curious to see if Shaxy wants to keep Spirit of the Shark with a Miscreant in this matchup. I haven't played the Rogue list enough with Spirit of the Sharks to know how important that is against Warrior, and if you want to keep it, say, on coin with Miscreant, and maybe delay the Miscreant turn just to get the extra lackeys off of the Spirit of the Shark.
I've played a fair bit of Spirit of the Shark, and I actually would like that a lot, because the lackeys are so powerful that there aren't other things you really expect, especially versus Patra's list. Like, great, Spirit of the Shark opens up double SI or a big Van Cleef. Well, a big Van Cleef might well just get executed, and you don't have it in your hand anyway. So I do like holding on to it, because that could be an amazing turn as well, even if you look at coin. So you could get Cable Rat and Miscreant with coin after Spirit of the Shark, and that means you can also use one of the lackeys as well.
I don't know if you'll have hand space.
How many will you get? You'll get 4. You get 6. That's fine.
6 is a lot. Well, you're not spending any cards this turn,
You
right?
can use one though, right?
Yeah, you can use one.
It'll be fine. Or you could just as much try and, now with the preps in hand, depending on what Shaxy gets, you could actually even just coin out the Shark.
Yeah.
And, because one of the problems with playing Shark on curve is that you go against a Dynamatic, which cleans it up very, very nicely.
Spirits, not mechs. Might even see just a Cable Rat on 2. Could Dagger instead maybe save the Cable Rat, but I don't think you can realistically expect all of your Lackey generators to be played with the Spirit of the Shark. Eventually it might be dealt with, so perhaps
unless the plan is maybe because of a Dynamatic, Shaxy either takes it slow with the Shark, or he actually gets the value from the Shark with double Cable Rat instead of the Miscreant. He can play Miscreant earlier.
Yeah,
maybe. I'm not 100%. Because then also, if he has Lackeys in his hand by the time he plays the Shark from the Miscreant, he can also double up Lackeys, right? So he can gain like 2 Discover spells, or deal 4, or etc. etc. So the timing of the Shark, I think, is going to be very key to Shaxy's performance in this game. And I think the other side of this, on Patra's end, I think it's not too difficult for her to just drop down a Goblin on curve. I think you pass the point of not wanting to play certain minions to give the rogue opponent like combo activators, you know what I mean? It's like they have coin and it's a 3-3 on 3. Seems fine. The bomb going off instantly just always makes me laugh. I don't really know why. But he's going to coin out that Shark, and I like this. This is just getting it out before the Dynamatic can just hard shut you down. And now he can prep Miscreant and then get a value from the one of the Lackeys, or he could just double Cable Rat and say, you know, let's go. Four Lackeys in hand.
Patra spending her mana, applying pressure. Shaxy's taking a slower value sort of line, so Patra knows she needs to be a bit more aggressive, even though she's not always the aggressor in this matchup.
This is the weird worry, though, because you look at it right now. If Shaxy makes the cute plays for all the Lackeys, he might just die soon. But with that Abyss pickup, I would be surprised if we don't see some kind of prep Abyss just to clean up one of these minions.
Ooh.
Wow, we can discover 4 spells.
And
still prep
power,
prep a spell out.
Exactly.
You can discover 2 spells, prep whatever he wants, do it again, and still prep another Abyss. Oh, this game is about to get nutty.
Violet Haze for value. Backstab.
Assassinate,
There's a
not
dagger
bad
equip. You
backstabs
can almost clean up the board. No, there's backstab and he clears the board.
Prep, dare, and escape. Ha! You can't come on
Could
Shark
take
now.
Necrium Vial to be paired with the Violet Haze in hand.
Oh, jeez.
But that's the thing. There's so many ways you can take these games based on what you get off of these Lackeys.
And now Patra has to try and play around every rogue spell in existence right now.
Prep Abyss.
Because the worst part is, because they discover, you have to put the power level on the spells relatively high, right?
Yeah.
Because rogue spells are decent anyway, and then Shaxy gets to pick which one he wants.
I like this a lot from Shaxy. Uses both preps,
Yeah.
a generated fan and a natural Abyss to clean up the board, but this plays around Dynamatic coming down on curve. And Patra doesn't really want to brawl this either, right? There's 3 1/1s and a 0/3.
If this Shark survives with 1 health, it will become
That's the likely
God
outcome.
Shark.
That's not the guaranteed outcome, but
Oh my
fuses have been lit.
Shake of the head from Patra, because it's just going to go from bad to worse, because she knows there's more stuff as well.
Well, all the Lackeys have been played off of the initial Cable Rat, but
I guess it's more the assumption that Rogue has so many cards that benefit from Shark that it's more crazy if Shaxy doesn't have
Shaxy
something.
doesn't have hand size to support all these. So if he plays the,
Can evolve twice.
he can.
Oh
my
and he
god!
can kill off the 3/4.
It becomes a 6 mana. This is insane.
No, it becomes 4 mana. Becomes a 4-drop.
Oh, he could. No, I'm saying he could evolve the Spirit of the Shark if he wants to.
Oh,
I guess
sorry, right, because it won't thingy though, right?
You might leave up the Spirit of the Shark then.
Yeah, just do it. Look at this, it's great. And then just the Lackey deal 4.
Yeah. Daring Escape. Not sure if we'll see it, but I mean, it guarantees another use of the Spirit of the Shark.
Or you could even Shadow Step replace Spirit of the Shark. Oh, no, you couldn't.
On a separate turn, probably, yeah.
Yeah, separate turn. I mean, but at 2 mana, you can easily play it next turn with Miscreant and just keep going.
I think Shadow Stepping this is good.
Shaxy's playing a new class. It's called the Lackey class. You just beat someone up with Lackeys and that's it.
Difficult spot for Patra. not that these minions are threatening, but you can't let every minion hit you multiple times, right? It starts adding up. Dynamatic again doesn't quite clear the board. I don't think you want to shield slam a 2-4. You don't want to brawl this either.
Weapons Project does cut down some of the minions to make the Dynamatic more valuable the following turn.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, like, Weapons Project shield slam the 2-4, kill a 1-1. It sounds like the worst play in the world, but I wouldn't hate it.
It might be the I mean, you have to do something. You can't
because you
just
know
pass.
there's a shark,
Yeah.
and you know you need to have the highest chance possible to kill the shark next turn. That, or you let them do whatever they want and brawl. But my worry is, if Pathra goes for the passive plan and just, okay, my opponent's going to go wide, Shaxy doesn't have to play shark.
Yeah, he can wait.
So he can just wait, because there's so many more minions that gain value.
Play
from
Violet Haze if he wants. There's a lot of different ways. I mean, Pathra doesn't know that Shaxy has Violet Haze.
Just imagine, Shark, Lackey, Tog is a playable turn. They choose to just play the Dynamatic, get something on the board. The problem with the other players, it doesn't actually develop minions, just weapons.
Yep. I think the play was fine.
Language Hacker, would you like this game to have more lackeys?
I would like to recruit some evil lackeys, yeah.
There we go. Ask and you shall receive. Oh
Shaxy's
my.
up to no good.
Shaxy's rubbing his head like it's difficult, and it is.
It is? I mean,
he's
there's
he's
many
doing
different-
so
yeah.
well, but now he's like, God, so many more choices.
Well, that's the thing. That's one of the interesting things about these rogue decks where they have all these lackey generation. With the old Conjuring Mage, for example, there's very, I don't want to say straightforward plays, but when you have only like 2 or 3 things that cost for mana, you're like, okay, I can do this or this or this. With Shaxy's hand, there's so many different one-cost minions. Obviously, this turn he only has 1 mana left over, but next turn, he can spend his mana so many different ways. Rifless Rocketeer.
It was Dollmaster Dorian for just a second, and now that character reminds me of Sottle no matter what, because that's cinematic. And that's just definitely how Sottle would play versus someone who wants to have a good time. But yeah, Reckless Rocketeer to clear, and once again, Pathra is just plagued by a shark.
Might have to brawl this.
If it wins, though.
Oh, I mean, what else can you do? I mean, you know,
I don't even know.
It's kind of rough. I think she can hold back. Just say, okay, fine. Do your lackey stuff. We'll brawl you after. I'm still at 28 health. Eventually, I'll draw some stuff to do, or eventually you'll kind of run out of lackeys.
Right. I think the idea might be as well is that although the lackeys are powerful, like if you just keep doing them, his hand size is going to get silly, and he's going to run out of options. He's going to have to make bad plays or non-efficient plays, I'll call it. That size not bad though.
This one Spirit of the Shark isn't so much.
And let's just remind everyone as well, this is Shaxy's his primary initial deck. This is what he was queuing first against anyone he was going to face, and already it's looking pretty good versus this warrior.
Interestingly enough, his secondary list cuts the Spirit of the Shark for the scheme and the Harrison. And the
That's what I mean, right?
Yeah.
It's like an alternate late game version, and it's like, do you need an alternate late game version? Maybe. But Spirit of the Shark is very good versus, mid game and early game as well, as we've seen. Like, would this matchup be much worse if he was in a mirror? Like, the Shark still does insane things that get Shaxy ahead, right?
I think this is actually an interesting way to look at this, and this might be the reason why he doesn't like Spirit of the Shark against Warrior. He is doing a lot of stuff, and he has a lot of staying power this game. He's not running out of resources, but the Warrior's at 30 health. It's turn 7.
Right, he's not killed them.
Yeah.
He's not done the usual rogue thing. Look at that. That was so much value. It's insane.
It's like Bran.
Oh yeah.
Bran Bronzebeard.
Not from that other thing.
Yeah.
Warpath.
Okay.
Finally, there is a guaranteed way to kill this Spirit of the Shark, and it's done its job. Shaxy can't be upset.
The funny thing is, with all these cards in hand, not all of them do the best things, which means like you don't even want to Myra's because you're only going to draw like so many cards,
Right.
so you got to get these out of your hand first.
What's going to be interesting here is if Shaxy goes for like a hand dump more turn also. Myra's and the hand dump doesn't do much. The Myra's draws the rogue cards, obviously, and then he just ends up doing the rogue things, but just about 8 turns late.
Those are some large minions. Henge Clan Shade Quill and Savannah Highmane.
Ah, Savannah Highmane, the original counter warrior card.
Maybe wait a bit longer, discover a scheme, shuffle some more in.
Maybe.
Alright, so Shade Quill, the Shade Quill is difficult to deal with. 7 health is a lot. But the Death Rattle doesn't necessarily help Shaxy. Healing your opponent isn't exactly what you want to do, but you kind of have to get stuff out of your hand.
Would equipping the weapon be so bad? Because you can play the Dread Corsair too.
Wouldn't be terrible. I don't hate it. Patra's running 1 Weapons Project, 1 Harrison. Weapons Project would let Patra deal with the Henge Clan. Shade Quill. Let you shield slam it after. Kill off the Miscreant. Downside is obviously it's one of your only ways to remove weapons, so if Shaxy happens to go, you know, Deadly... Actually, Shaxy doesn't run Deadly Poison or Greenskin.
Yes, something has to be cut.
Yeah.
For all this craziness, all this sharky business.
So maybe Patra just says, alright, Weapons Project, go.
Wouldn't be too bad.
Cleans up the board. I mean, she's got to be seeing that Shaxy's struggling to put something reasonable on the board. Obviously, now we discovered a Shade Quill, and that kind of filled out the turn, but...
But it was a discover, right?
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't exactly part of the plan most of the time, so... I think it's a very tough matchup to navigate because of how crazy the early game was. It means that Patra's just not sure of what exactly is 100% left in Shaxy's hand. And then that's hard to formulate any kind of plan around, right? You're like, imagine playing a game of Hearthstone against someone, except they're playing with new cards that you've never seen before. Like, what are you supposed to do? You know, I guess you just have to sit down and just play the best turn you can every turn and hope for the best. That's armor up pass. That was a 7 mana float.
I mean, I think Patra's kind of figuring out that Shaxy doesn't have that much to do, and maybe she doesn't want to use the single her removal. Maybe wait for him to play something else along with this.
Yeah, Patra can sustain a certain amount of damage for a couple of turns at least with the armor up as well, but Shaxy's saying, nope, I'm going to accelerate this game and play a load of stuff. So Highmane and the Dread Corsair comes down, and if this isn't a brawl, then I'm going to... I'm not going to say that actually, because that's... I was going to say I was going to quit casting, but knowing me, that would literally happen and I'll be forced.
Patra's patience last turn leads her to a better brawl this turn.
Okay, I would have been safe. Nice as well. The weapon projects will kill one of the hyenas at least, unless the taunt lives, of course. Okay.
Weapons Project, armor up, shield slam the Shade Quill, clean up a hyena.
Looks good to me, doesn't it? I was looking at whether you just get the Wrench Caliber online and put some pressure on, but I think that turn is too good to turn down.
Agreed. It's perfect mana utilization too. It's just juicy.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's just a good turn, isn't it? You can always just throw away the rest of the weapon for Wrench Caliber if you really want the following turn. But yeah, she's just getting a clean job done. Gonna hero take down one of these hyenas. The health from the Henge Clan's nice.
Yeah, maybe this is why the Spirit of the Shark ends up being cut against Warrior, because you do a lot of stuff, but
you do a whole lot of nothing. Ooh, okay.
Eager Underling, Dr. Morgan. Shaxy's got to play something, right?
Kind of awkward as well, because I think this would just be a reasonable weapon turn, peel off some of that armor. But
I think now Shaxy might want to just get use of the... there's not a lot of stuff he wants to bounce, right? So maybe he just wants to get used to the Weapons Project weapon for now.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, because the Weapons Project, he won't want to play the weapon now.
Yeah.
Not terrible. Just emptying his hand now. Gonna start peeling some damage. And it's... Funnily enough, it's weak, but it's enough of a board that Patra, has to deem this as a certain level of threat, right? Like, you can't just take, what is it, 5, 7, 9, 10, 11, like 11 damage a turn. That's almost 2 turn, right?
Difficult to get a read on what Shaxy has left. From Patra's perspective, Shaxy has, I believe, 2 random spells, a Lackey, and 1 Death Rattle minion. So she can kind of decide how she wants to tackle this board. If she wants to just use a second Brawl and say, I don't think you have that much gas left over, or just start picking at it with maybe a Excalibur, with an Omega Devastator that she just picked up.
I even think just a Ziliax would be fine.
Ziliax
right?
too, yeah.
Ziliax does a decent job. It sticks to the board and it has to be removed the following turn. You can clear up a decent amount. You could even Ziliax the 3/3 trade into the 2/2, then Omega Devastator, one of the big ones.
So Shaxy holding that last Lackey is probably for the Heist Baron Togwaggle he has yet to find. So from Patra's perspective, she knows that there's a Lackey left over, and she's thinking, I probably need to save the second Brawl for the Heist Baron if a Crown comes out and discovers some legendary minions. It's a bomb.
Did it? Was the Omega Devastator skipped?
It.
Oh, that's twice today!
I mean, there's a lot of pressure. But yeah,
and now,
missing the Omega Devastator, this might be a big deal.
Literally, you know, what kind of swing is it? It's minus, plus a 4/4 and minus a 4/5 on Patra's end. That is a huge deal. She would be on 25 and have a 4/5 on the board that Shaxy had to have considered and maybe even traded the deckhand into. Could have potentially been 8 health higher. But what's done is done. Now it just needs to be recovery mode. You know, right, that happened. It's done, dusted. You can't rewind time. What can Patra do now to stabilize and try and secure this game? Might be Brawl time.
Punish a little bit for the hesitation, but it looks like she's already back in focus. That's good. Moment has passed. Focus on what you got to do going forward. What if you Omega Devastator the Dr. Morgan, pull out Heist Baron Togwaggle, Brawl, and then win the Brawl?
I mean, that would be a good turn.
Oh, that would be a good turn. You can throw in a Rover if you want to.
Sure. That actually wouldn't be so bad, you know.
I mean, I'm just trying to figure out what else. I mean, it's difficult to deal with this board.
Well, either way, it needs to be done quick. You don't want to do the same thing twice in a row. Okay.
Excalibur. We'll see what pops out.
It's going to take so long. The animation takes so long.
Yeah.
Like, I don't...
No?
Okay, Van Cleef. Was there a swing? There was a swing. Okay.
Good.
Recovery mode activate. Van Cleef is decent. You just gotta worry about a Shadow Step now.
8-9 with Leroy at 16. It's kind of real close. So the raiding party pickup. Does Shaxy have pirates left? I believe there is a Dread Corsair left and another Bloodseal Corsair. Not the largest minions at this point in the game, but...
I think you want to go pick now, right?
Yeah.
Set up the Shadow Step Leroy, because you either win with the minions you've got on board anyway, or they get cleared, and then you can freely Leroy and then use the second swing of the pick to Shadow Step.
No, I think that makes sense. I'm expecting a raiding party as well. I suppose you could assassinate this. What else are you going to assassinate? You've already seen a Ziliax. Daring Escape. So it looks like Shaxy is going for a big Edwin play. Also happens to use the Bloodseal Corsair Battle Cry to get rid of the second charge of the Wrench Caliber.
Oh, I'm surprised at that, though. I thought the Assassinate on the Omega Devastator would have been a little bit better. This is a big cleave, though.
The Brotherhood shall obey.
Okay. I don't think Patra's in a position where she can save this Brawl any longer for...
I think she needs to trade Execute first.
She could trade Execute, but I... Oh, I see what you're saying.
If she brawls and Van Cleef wins, she dies. Game. Right?
The thing is, if you trade Execute, there's still just stuff left over and you don't have much else to develop.
It's only 4 power, though, right?
Oh.
You could trade Execute Brawl. Oof, okay.
I think she might be in such a rough spot that she just needs something small to live, or the Devastator. Oh, no. Okay.
Oh!
No, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine.
That was so close.
Okay.
But Shaxy still Well, not now, but was one shadow step away from just killing Pathra with Leroy. And there's 2 waggle picks.
So I think Pathra can figure out how much damage could have been pushed last turn if there was a Leroy, or obviously she knows the Leroy step should have been dead, so she can say, all right, Shaxy, I know you don't have that, so instead of armoring up here, she goes further in on board the Eternium Rovers.
Okay. Game getting real close right now.
Yeah.
Now, I think assassinate pick face?
You need to close out the game. You're 11 health.
Because you can't play a minion, right?
Yeah.
Because the 1/3s, the Eternal Rovers are just going to heal.
Patra's going to get out of the damage range.
I think assassinate pick
available.
face.
I think that's got to be the play, yeah.
You have 16 damage next turn unless there's a taunt. I think you got to make that call.
Already seen a weapons project from Patra, so the only other weapon removal will be the Harrison. He knows 2 cards in hand are mechs from the Omega Assembly. I think this might be the turn Shaxy needs to say, all right, let's get in there. Okay.
Yep.
Looks like he agrees.
It's the outcome that leads to the best results because Pathra literally needs to either heal for a lot somehow, like that.
Like a boom?
Like that, yeah, that'll do, I think. Or gain or play a taunt.
Choosing to forego the hero power to see what she gets off of the boom. So she can unpowered Maul Lumi or hero power Lumi.
I hate them all, though. Sucks. I think here, the 1 damage is going to be big.
Alright, so Shaxy has the pick, 2 Leroys at 16 damage.
This for lethal? Okay, nope.
1 mana short. With 11 mana, you could fit in the SI as well. Shaxy used the other lackey earlier to make the big Edwin, so this Heist Baron's not doing a whole lot. There's a 6 mana 5/5, but that's not quite what we need.
Do you actually have to swing pick and then just re-equip pick pass?
You could.
Oh no, you equip pick, swing, then pass, right? Because you want the shadow step for Leroy next turn, so you need the pick to die next turn.
You could also throw the SI before you re-equip the Waggle pick to get a cheaper SI in case Patra finds a bit of healing.
That's probably optimal, yeah, why not? Because you have the mana after, right?
Yeah.
Oh. Oh no, because you can thingy, right? You can hero power to proc the pick, so you may as well swing re-equip.
True. It depends if you think you can close out the game next turn or if you want to close it over 2. The thing is you're at 7 health, so I don't know if you can live that much longer.
Yeah, I think you just go in, right?
Yeah.
He can't do... Oh?
Wait. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Getting the Leroy mana in now, saying... Okay, fine.
Okay.
I mean, Patra's hero power can't go face. There's one.
Oh, yeah,
there's one mech left over in her hand, and as long as it's not magnetic.
Oh my, what a game! Both players getting so close, and there's a bomb out, right?
Perhaps. Historically, there's been more bombs than we've expected, so...
That's true, yeah. And there's no way for Pathra to damage her own Eternium Rovers, which means there's no additional armor gain. The hero power may as well be 2 mana do nothing this turn.
Defend the gates.
Alright. It's actually Shaxy playing on the edge, letting himself get to 1 health. I'm going to assume there was a bomb.
Well, that was not a bomb. Shaxy was the one fist bump in, and Leroy into SI7 agent is going to close out game number 1, and you have to wind back the clock a little bit and think, what if there was 4 less damage and a 4/5 on the board that would have soaked more damage?
Yeah.
That game could have looked different, right? That could have looked very, very different, and maybe that was the health difference that was needed to either A, survive 1 more turn, or just make Shaxy change his play, because Shaxy can't set up lethal if lethal isn't there. That sounds really silly, but that is the case. So Pathra needs to just shake off any worries about that game now. It's done and dusted, but needs to definitely focus to make sure it doesn't happen again. Shaxy's going to lead 1-0 versus Pathra. Find out how the rest of the series happens after this.
Well met, friend. Ooh.
Let's get this over with. I win!
Oh, what an amazing game! Oh, well played!
Here's to the winner.
Now the cards show me a tinker, so clever, but kind of a stinker. In a storm that's a raging, sits the last one I'm paging, a truly unusual thinker. All bots are now gonna go boom, but still, you shouldn't assume that I've made this selection on my own direction.
No, indeed, let's be clear. I have brought you all here, and now you're all in. It is time to begin.
The cards see a heart that is stony, and a totem that's all kinda bony. This witch in such danger will soon be no stranger, 'cause she's gonna be our new crony. We welcome you into this room, and we promise you're...
We're back with Shaxy versus Pathra, and Shaxy just taking the 1-0 lead over Pathra as a bit of a timing blunder, and not the first one we've seen of the day. In terms of playing with animations and the rope is something you've got to be a little bit afraid of. In your career, Language Hacker, is that ever happened to you where the rope's been burning and maybe you've not quite got the timing right, or you've struggled a little bit in terms of just maybe seeing that rope start and then having to just play quick?
Definitely can happen. I mean, the one time the rope burns the quickest is when you're on the stage, right? it just pops up and you're like, what, it's been 70 seconds already? Oh my god. And when you're thinking about all these plays, time can go by really quickly, and I think the players need to maybe put aside some of their hesitation and just be confident in their plays.
Yeah, it's something we've even seen that, at Worlds, in this league, some of the best players in the world, and at Worlds, of course, there were some of the best players in the world, and there were some timing issues as well, so something you definitely have to keep in mind. But let's go on to game number 2. Shaxy, let's find out if he's changed deck. I do see a scheme, so he has moved over to his more anti-warrior list, and Pathra does have the Hearthstone, but that was in a main list anyway, so we'll hold our breath for this one.
Shaxy having Scheme right in his opening hand is very beneficial to him. Also having both raiding parties and being uncoined, not a bad hand.
Yeah, it means you can get cooking straight away, but if there's something that surprised me the most today is how well Bomb Warrior does at pressuring Rogue.
Yeah, a Rover into Clockwork Goblin, Commander, maybe a Harrison if it lines up nicely.
And after seeing Raiding Party, Pathra has to think that Harrison will line up at least reasonably nicely.
Yeah.
Bomb already in the deck. Yeah, are we going to go on theme and Shaxy draws the bomb? No, okay. I feel like we've seen a lot of that today in these casts.
Shuffle a bomb, draw a bomb. And then we somehow forget that there's 3 more in the deck.
Yeah.
Both players seem to have a pretty good hand so far. Shaxy's a little fuller. But Patra's not exactly weak.
The problem with coining out the raiding party is that now it just limits options, because raiding party often gets you things you want to do with the weapon.
Yep.
But the weapon can't be equipped, so backstabbing to SI will have to do. Definitely not a bad play at all. Shaxy does not stay still when he is playing Hearthstone.
Pathra now has a decision to make if she wants to Militia Commander the SI, leave something on board, or Wrench Caliber. Perhaps Militia Commander the turn after. Or maybe even Harrison on 5. She knows that Shaxy's drawn a Waggle Pick because of the activation back on turn 2.
I think I like Wrench Caliber because it gives the Waggle Pick a bad trade into your Turning Rover.
Yep.
I guess Militia Commander does that as well, but I don't know. I normally like getting weapons active and locked and loaded, ready to go.
Yeah. I mean, you get 2 swings, right?
Exactly.
Second bomb in the deck. Okay. There's one of the sprints. Sorry, the sprint.
And now limited options. I mean, you know, Shaxy can play the raiding party again. And he's going to just get more of the pirates in hand. And most importantly, that Bloodsail Corsair to chip away at the Wrench Caliber and remove the extra bomb that could have been shuffled in the following turn. So I get the plan, but it's very weak.
The Corsair was guaranteed. I think from Shaxy's perspective, if he takes the game longer, the scheme is just going to help him out.
I'm just wondering if, even with like removal like that for -1 bomb, if it's enough to not just die from stuff anyway. Because the longer the game goes, the more likely it is that he draws a bomb. Or draw the bombs, should I say.
True. Well, the Rover at 1 health now might be a bit better for Shaxy to go. Also, the second raiding party picked up the second Dread Corsair, which gives him an even bigger swing turn now.
That's true, yeah. If you're ever going to go for it, I think you should go for it now. Shaxy looks like he's in pain.
Well, he's thinking if he develops, so he can go Waggle Pick Dread Corsair or both Dread Corsairs and the deckhand to clean up the 1/2, the Rover. The thing is, on turn 6, Patrick could Warpath 3 times and clear the board.
Yeah.
And if that happens, there's not a whole lot Shaxy has to do on turn 6. There's no prep. You can't. Okay.
He's gonna hold one.
So holding back one Dread Corsair plays around Warpath, but doesn't play around Dynomatic.
More fearful of the Dynomatic. I guess the Dynomatic is a bigger problem because it leaves a minion on the board, whereas Warpath is a whole turn. It clears your board, but you gain initiative again if you're Shaxy, right?
Yep.
So you can actually do something.
So Pathra is presented with a very clear Warpath opportunity, but she's considering all the plays. Maybe Harrison's a possibility as well. She knows that the second raiding party wasn't comboed, so either there might be a Waggle Pick, the second Waggle Pick already in Shaxy's hand, or he just hasn't drawn the second one.
Yeah.
But I think at 35 health, you're not necessarily scared of much. I think just clearing this board, and you let the Waggle Pick hit you in the head,
Well,
it's fine.
I was actually going to say, I don't even think you necessarily need to play the Warpath here, because I think what Pathra might want to do is this play is good enough where, even without the Shield Slam, the health is plenty for her, and then you can play Boom next turn, and then recover with the Warpaths or the Brawls and still have Boom live.
Oh, I see.
So I think like you get Boom down, and then you have Brawl, Warpaths, and it's like, well, how does Shaxy stick anything for 3 turns while you're drawing mechs and maybe generating more mechs as well? So I feel like it's just this weaker turn, which it wasn't even that weak because of the way the obviously the pick drew back the Corsair was pretty good actually, pretty good spot.
So Shaxy didn't have a great turn 6 play before. Now with the Harrison going off, the Eviscerate can be used to clean up the Harrison. He can redevelop the Dread Corsair, maybe set up for a sprint on 7. Perhaps he's considering if he wants to just Myra's now. He can also backstab, use his hero power and the Bloodsail Corsair to clean up the Harrison.
It's definitely scary, right? Because Shaxy has sprint and Myra's.
Yep.
If he hand dumps now to Myra's, then he has to hope he gets something to actually win the game with, right?
Right.
And with 17 cards, it's not unlikely that he misses. If he sprints, then that fills up his hand more so that Myra's is worse. So it feels like a, conflicting hand here that's going on.
I'm suiting up.
This is good, though.
Well,
The low damage output here, perfect Dr. Boom turn, on curve, and about as low damage as you're going to expect from a rogue board.
Blast shield coming in. Okay. So 1 bomb left in the deck. Miscreant. Okay, we got some stuff to do now. We'll see if Shaxy wants to take a bit of a slower turn sprint, try to find some other cards, or just go on the Miscreant. Kind of hard to activate it. Might have to backstab your own Dread Corsair.
Yeah, at least you know there's no other hero powers that deal 1 damage, whether it be the microbots or the bomb.
Yep.
So he has done it. I'm surprised that nothing else has come out yet.
I hope he miscreants. Backstab sprint's not that great.
I was going to say, I mean, Myra's is the only other option.
I think he was considering it, yeah.
Is he going to Shadow Step play the Myra's?
Well, he
Just
might.
empty as much of his hand as possible. I think, yeah, I guess Shaxy's just going for it. And
Okay.
this, I mean, I don't know. This feels risky, but there's
Well,
Tog,
there's the
there's
Tog.
Shadow Step.
Both life drinkers got some health to work with.
Okay, okay.
This also keeps your hand full, so if Pathra has bomb generators, jamming
go.
it now isn't good, yeah.
Does she need to, though? I mean, the big question for me is, by shuffling Togs into your deck, I mean, luckily enough, Shaxy Drew has got double Miscreant, which is a big deal. If he missed the second Miscreant, then shuffling, tons of Togwaggles in your deck are just 6 mana 5/5s, right?
Yep.
Because yes, you can prop them maybe 1 to 2 times total, but that's it. But now with the Miscreant, that's like 4 potential Tog procs, which is pretty huge.
Well, it depends how you do it. So if you choose the Wondrous Wand when you have enough mana and you just have the 1 Lackey on board, you can go Lackey.
Oh, just draw.
Yeah, Wondrous Wand. You have
That's true.
only Togwaggles left in your deck. Then you just play them all in 1 turn. You have a big board, and then you have like 5 crowns.
No, you're right, yeah.
Expecting a Miscreant.
Shaxy just getting these lackeys in.
I think he was hoping for some double time and double pay. Shake of the head. Would you like you could get some interesting things here? Could get a 5 mana minion, a 4 mana minion, Ziliax, Earth Elemental.
I do love it. It's like it's very quickly going to become a caster bingo thing.
Oh yeah.
Where like you whenever anyone talks about a certain cost card, it's always just like the 1 card. So I could go to 5 mana, Ziliax. It's like there's a lot of 5 drops.
I'm setting
it's the
it
same
up.
It's the old like Doomsayer out of a shredder, right? It's like the only 2 drop that's important is a Doomsayer, and that's it. And you always have to mention it. So it's definitely going to happen. The Warpath does technically.
Well, not quite. 1 mana off.
Oh sure, yeah.
I don't think we're too concerned about the Tiger. I mean, yeah, it sucks, but I mean that you can't clear it. But I mean,
I guess it's just damage, right?
Yeah.
Like that's the only thing. It's just 5. Like at least we can see guaranteed damage.
this does have rush. So she can decide if she wants to clear up the Miscreant or ship the Rover upstairs. The Goblin can't go upstairs. So I don't hate trading off the Rover. Letting Commander still hit face.
I think this is fine.
Yeah.
I mean, the reason you want to save health on the Rover is to gain more armor. Trading gained you the armor you'd gain anyway.
Yep.
So like, why not? This pushes more damage to face. Shaxy now down to 16. Sorry, 14 with the fatigue.
Yeah.
He needs to make something happen quick. Of course, he does have the scheme, so he can turn off fatigue effectively whenever he wants. And
Stekatron?
since it's been in his hand all game, we're about to see some fireworks.
Yep. Yep. We even have the prep to go with this, which means she can shuffle the Togwaggle in now, prep out the Wondrous Wand, play
Oh God,
3
here we
more
go.
Togwaggles, get 3 more treasures.
And this is I won't say solved, but when you can create this many treasures, you normally can create the right amount that gets you where you want to be in a matchup, right?
Right.
So I'm not saying I know the 100% correct numbers of, which one. Obviously, it depends on how many you shuffle, but which ones, how your hand space, and how many crowns, for example, and how many even golden kobolds or whatever you get. But
Interestingly,
this is looking scary.
we didn't get the option this game from Shaxy, but if he had Leroy left in hand, he could have potentially shuffled those in.
Oh, I've done that before,
Oh, yeah.
and that's glorious. Yeah, you just play like 7 Leroys and get them.
Yeah. So now Pathra needs to gear up for a bit of a longer game. She knows that there's at least, what, 2 crowns in hand? So Shaxy holds back on one of the Heist Barons.
Which is always fine because he has the miscreant.
Yep.
He has this. Like I said, if the second miscreant was burnt, Shaxy would have to go way more all in. And going all in on a million togs isn't the worst thing in the world, of course, but it's just that little bit less safe, right? You have to just play as much as possible on the board, and then it gets brawled and cleaned up, and then you have to hope.
This should also tell Pathra that there is some sort of lackey generation left in Shaxy's hand, because otherwise, the 3 cards drawn this turn were exactly Togwaggle, Togwaggle, Togwaggle.
Right.
So there must be some reason why Shaxy's holding back a Togwaggle.
Exactly, right? You wouldn't hold one if you couldn't generate a
Yeah.
lackey. So, she might not kill it. So, yeah, okay. Lackey's actually the highest priority target on the board right now.
Warpath to clean this up is nice. Save brawls for bigger targets.
I will note, though, the crowns are not the be-all and end-all either,
no.
because there are a lot of legendaries that suck without battle cries.
Myra Rotspring, Blood Mage Thalnos, Nat Pagel.
Yeah, there are tons.
Yeah.
So many. But let's see how Shaxy approaches this. Is he going to go in with anything now, or is he going to take another slow turn just to get the togs rolling?
The thing is, at 12 health, I don't think he can wait that long, because Pathra does have some bomb generation. Ooh.
2 Leroys, let's go.
No, you go
What?
Karen.
Boo! Leroy's is like 12 damage this turn, come on. And there you go, that's a perfect example. Imagine if he only had 1 crown.
Yeah.
Just 2 6/6s plain. Like, not really the best cards. He does have Shadow Step, which does make some legendaries a little bit more interesting, because the battle cry, can go off if you Shadow Step them back, of course, and replay.
Good time to play out the Miscreant as well. The thing is, the Karens are perfect because it plays around Brawl, right?
Yeah.
Which is kind of the only reasonable answer to this.
Now, this is the big question, isn't it? Patra's got tons of health. She isn't going to just randomly die, right? Like that's just a fact. But does she have enough stuff left in the deck outside of, Elysiana? I'm not going to comment on any card in the game.
Sure.
But does she have enough stuff in the deck to actually stop this onslaught from Shaxy, even if she draws perfectly? Because 1 brawl's gone and there's still 2 4/5s on the board, technically 3. So what is the draw that actually stops this? I don't know.
There's a couple that help. She still has a Devastator, I believe, left over. An Omega Devastator. That could help out a bit. I believe she still has a Shield Slam. So it's not cards that'll just win out the game, but with enough health to work with, she can take a few hits, try to get through the last few Togwaggle treasures that'll be discovered. There won't be any more shuffling in, so after these last 4 cards get drawn for Shaxy, he will also start taking fatigue damage.
You say that. There is a minion that can discover a spell, Mr. Language Hacker.
Oh, of course.
And that could be another scheme, and we could be here all night.
Well, but then we're kind of short on Lackey. I mean, you can Shadow Step the Lackey, yeah. Save it. Pathra might be very happy to see the Zap Cannon pop up. 4 more of those, and game's over. Maybe 5 if there's a Life Drinker left over.
Oh, okay.
Not sure you want to draw. Probably just backstab.
Yep, just get something done. I believe we are going to see some more togs. The good thing is, for now, this brawl is going to buy a lot more time.
Yep.
I just got to go straight for a crown, and...
Those dormal. You got to wait till the rope. If you wait a bit longer for the rope, it gets more panicky.
Language Hacker with all the plays. I mean, this was a snap brawl anyway, right? no matter which way you slice it.
You could have thought about it, but yeah.
Oh, I
probably.
guess, do you hero power execute the can? I guess not, right? 'Cause
No,
if
no,
an
no.
8/8 lives, you gotta worry. Well, if Snap Brawl happens and then Nosdamu lives, which, okay. Patra's got some time.
Okay. I mean, that's the thing. With Boom coming down so early, Patra had so much time to just gain armor, gain these resources she needed to be able to deal with these High-Sparrow and Togwaggles. So even with these techs,
I like this as well, shield block into Zap.
yeah.
Because it's better than just saying Dynamatic, do random damage.
I like this
right?
going face too. She recognizes that it's going to be difficult to clear everything, so she needs to start just getting some chip damage trying to end the game.
And also as well, there's Warpath anyway for next turn, if she wants to clear. So why use mana on, you know, on damage on a minion that you can clear anyway? Because I imagine with 2 5-health minions plus X on the board, you probably are.
Yep.
There's a reasonable likelihood that Patra's already considering just Warpath next turn.
And Shaxy a little frustrated there. This is the last lackey, and I think Patra should know that as well. So this has to be Shadow Stepped if he wants to continue generating stuff off of High-Sparrow and Togwaggle.
Still not bad though. The only frustration here is because of a lack of wand. You can only play 1 Tog a turn at the moment.
I think I would have liked to see a wand here.
Yeah, I'm not sure why you need to put more into the board. Also, this is helping the Warpath turn a lot because it means hero power can be used too.
Yeah.
They're just 6/6s. Like I said, like the crowns are definitely not just a win.
I would have liked, not by themselves, yeah, you need more over time, but I think I would have liked to see Wonder Swan here from Shaxy. It does get you to fatigue faster, but the thing is, this board is answerable. And this is your last lackey, so you're realistically only getting 1 more treasure with this lackey. But whereas if you had gone Wonder Swan, you would have gotten 3 more treasures. You have a big board this turn. The next turn, if it gets cleared, you have 1 final board that Patra probably won't be able to deal with.
And also, you could have even got the monkey as the last one,
Yep.
just to say, right, here's a cheap taunt, and it makes, for example, the sprint a different card, and so on and so on.
Replaces your hand, you get an Archivist, we start all over.
Yep, we get cozy. And now, though, is Patra trying to consider a world in which she doesn't have to use Warpath?
He's trying to see if there's another way to do it, but I think Warpath is going to be pretty clean.
Yeah.
She should know that that's the last lackey left in hand, and well, there's 5 High-Sparrows left. I think Patra's managed to log up this game.
Yeah, the 2 Omega Devastators, as I feel like is almost always the case, the Omega Devastators win games.
Yeah.
Because, you know, imagine those 2 any other cards, right? Because it's difficult.
Sure.
But there are still a lot of big minions in Shaxy's deck and hand that can get work done.
Yep.
But the Omega Devastators just are so savage in terms of like just kill a minion and often kill another minion with the rush effect.
It's devastating.
I see what you did there. It's very original. I like it.
Yeah. Thanks. I was up all night thinking of that one. Shaxy trying to plan out what he wants to do. Probably going to involve the king. He might have to switch to the, like you said, the golden monkey at this point. I don't know if the Zarg's crown is going to do it.
It's the mage one, right?
The Dragon Hawk, of course. Classic.
And already you can see the stall now. And there you go. Yeah, I thought he would have to go for it. It's also, it's a 3-mana 6/6, which isn't bad. What do we have? Haka.
Perfect.
Those are all terrible cards.
Not in this board state.
Those are all terrible cards. Well, the problem is as well, Patra has Elysiana,
Yeah.
so the card does nothing, whereas Shaxy will die. Mojo Master does not a lot. Godfrey, you don't want to clear the board because you're the one making the board. Ooh.
I think we do take the Clockwork Goblin with only a couple cards left.
Yeah, why not?
Save the best for last. Kind of want to see Orange Caliber this turn, just ship it upstairs. She could go for the Mega Devastator, try to put more on the board.
I think well, this threatens lethal anyway, or sets up lethal for her, right? If she kills the 5/5, then these 2 Omega Devastators can go face, and the Wrench Caliber seals the deal. So I think I like this overall.
You still have Deathwing protection with Dynomatic Execute.
Yeah, the the average legendary, and even some of the best legendaries, do not deal with 4/5s or 4/4 as well. So you can just push enough damage, and I am sure there are many players who have discussed with this Tog style of the shuffle the Togs, go for all the treasures. They've discussed on what's the thing specifically you do that beats Warrior. And I don't really know the answer, to be honest, because the crown thing never works for me. I'm normally the Shaxy in this story, where crowns never really get me there. But Pathra does even it up, and recovers from the the slight blunder in game number 1. So maybe Shaxy has to go back to the drawing board in terms of what he wants to play, or maybe even how he wants to play, because that Myra's felt a little bit.
It felt a bit forced.
He needed to draw the second miscreant, or the game would have been over 5, 6, 7 turns beforehand. It's crazy, and again, a nice series to finish off the day on. There is one more game left for our region at least, so don't go anywhere, and we'll be right back with some more Pathra versus Shaxy.
The cards see a heart that is stony, and a totem that's all kinda bony. This witch in such danger will soon be no stranger, 'cause she's gonna be our new crony. We welcome you into this room, and we promise your enemies doom. Just one more who's coming. The last one I summon is a fella who makes things go boom. Each teammate I'm calling has stories. This tale's about riches and glories. Deep down in the earth, a king dreams of rebirth and refilling his gold inventories. Such a shame to have lost all that treasure. Join up, be a kobold of leisure. The cards now be calling someone new, no more stalling. And we next will be taking her measure. One night, I was called on to scry. But what is this symbol I spy? It's my own crystal ball. Yes, I'll answer the call. And the others will come by and by. That's right. We be calling a team in. The masters of plotting and scheming. By this candle a-glowing, I surely be knowing whose gold will be once more a-gleaming.
It's the final game of Grandmasters today here for us in the Asia Pacific region. It's Shaxy versus Pathra. It's all even, 1-1. And it's the final decision these guys have to make for today, at least, into which deck they're going to play. Language Hacker, is there going to be anything to change up? I think Pathra actually just played her the normal version, the primary deck of her Warrior, which is just fairly standard. But Shaxy did move to what could be coined as the anti-Warrior version and lost, which I feel like has been a theme today. And I'm not even saying it's correct, but I feel like most players who have switched to a counter deck have not won the first game they switched to it with it, which feels really weird. So we're going to see what happens and what people are, what the players are going to be playing now. But what do you make of this? What would you do if you were Shaxy? Because he appears to have stuck with the counter warrior.
I think he may have jumped the gun a little bit too quickly on the Myers last game. He had the scheme. It was kind of big. That's fine. But I think he might have been able to take it a tiny bit slower because what he did near the end was just I think he misstepped in not drawing more Togwaggles and getting more crowns right at the end.
Right.
Even though it escalated how quickly he would die to fatigue. You can get a lot of value off of those Togwaggles, but you need to be able to actually make enough waves of threats. And the way he did it was almost perfect until right at the end.
Yeah, there was the turn where he made the crown and not the wand.
Yep.
And you think, well, it's if you choose a wand, it's -1 crown. Right, but the wand is like +3 crowns, so you still end up a net positive overall, right? When you draw them, he actually whiffed a few and ended up having to use the monkey early. But this is a fresh game now, and Pathra again off to a decent start with a 1-drop. Can coin into Wrench Caliber with a Militia Commander backup on turn 4 as well. Whereas Shaxy has a little bit of a middling hand, I would say. The scheme racking up is always nice, of course, but there's just like the Life Drinker and the Waggle Pick that are really there. And the sprint, I don't know. I'm not 100% solved on the sprint in the list for me, Language Hacker.
I believe it's there for consistency to be able to get to that endgame state much more, a larger amount of the time.
Right.
The problem is when you're putting some of these cards in, and they end up clogging your early hands. The explosive starts we see from rogues tend to become a bit less consistent, even though your late game playing might be happening a lot more often. When the warrior is given so much time, like we saw last game, Pathra had 40 plus health near the end, where when Shaxy
before the game really started,
yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah, it was nuts. The health gain was really nice, and there was no early pressure from Shaxy really whatsoever. No, again, it's something we saw in game number 1, I believe, from Pathra, which is just, I'm playing an Omega Dev, a Chillwind Yeti effectively on the 4 because I'm not going to, presume it's going to get too much value late game.
Against Shaxy's list in particular as well, Pathra knows that if she puts a lot more stuff on board and Shaxy starts taking the damage.
I mean, look at it already.
Yeah.
You suddenly look at the list. Sprint, Scheme, Tog, Nomi. It's like, it's high-cost cards for Rogue to be played. Rogue is not known for its high cost, high curve at all. But in these lists, it seems to get there.
There's no Harrison as well on the list, so Pathra knows that this isn't really a scary thing to throw in the Devastator. Also, no raiding party has been played.
Like, is this almost like Life Drinker swing pass, or it's gonna have to eviscerate and swing? Wow.
Shaxy wants to get to late game. He needs to make sure he doesn't take repetitive damage from this Devastator.
And if he's choosing to swing, you may as well play the Corsair and get it for 0 mana.
Could, yeah. Give some
There's no reason not to,
Pathra,
right?
But yeah. Also, having a 0 mana card to activate something later is not bad.
Right.
I mean, look at the rest of his hand. There's not a whole lot you can use to activate a raiding party, right?
For a Myra dump as well,
yep.
Where you just you want to empty hand as quick as possible.
So interesting from Patra's side, she does have 2 Wrench Caliber, so she could just swing face, get the Corsair to come out from Shaxy, or she could take it a bit more slow, be a bit more patient.
Funnily enough, could you ever is it ever worth playing the Wrench Caliber and not swinging face?
Yeah,
to
you
say,
can do that too.
Well, your Corsair is either stuck in hand, and if you do play it, it doesn't remove the weapon, and also, if you need it to activate something, it has to be played, but I don't mind either way, to be honest. There's 2 Wrench Calibers there, as you said. I think you just want to start chucking bombs at Shaxy.
I think there's not a whole lot you're doing with your mana for the next couple turns. I don't think Shaxy's going to be developing such a large board. I think Patrick can make a read that there's quite a bit of a slow hand from Shaxy's side. So just weaving in the armor instead of equipping the Wrench Caliber. She really needs the weapon next turn. She can equip it with another armor up.
And we did see the armor made a huge difference last game as well.
Yep.
Excuse me if you heard that. So the Dynomatic can clear off this Life Drinker pretty easily. Doesn't quite fit as nicely with the Hero Power as well. So maybe Wrench Caliber's just fine with Hero Power, as you said. Protects the 1/3 as well.
I think with the second Dynomatic pickup, I'd like to see the first one come down just for more pressure. I mean, Pathra saw Shaxy eviscerate an Omega Devastator. There's not... I mean, clearly Shaxy's struggling at A, developing the board, and B, being able to deal with anything that Pathra develops. She opts for the Wrench Caliber Hero Power, which is fine as well.
I think this is one where we've just... It's not so much about this turn, but it's about using the mana that's in your hand over multiple turns. So using Wrench Caliber now means that the second one can be equipped sooner and start just getting rid of that mana from the hand. And Dynamatics can be such high-valued late game. Like, they kill some insane minions. Like, they'll kill a Tog, for example. And that's a really, really powerful swing late game. And there's the spread.
Kaboom.
And there we go. Bloodsail Corsair at 0 mana. Didn't mean he could play it with a sprint, but it didn't do anything else. Wrench Caliber again.
Shaxy also isn't running Ziliax, so the only form of life gain is Life Drinker.
Also here, Militia Commander plus Wrench Caliber. Just Commander the 1-2 just to get it on the board. Like you said, develop more minions. Wrench Caliber face again. And the more that Shaxy's drawing is, the more likely these bombs are going to start hitting very quick.
Yeah.
Looks good to me, at least.
I think Dynamatic now feels a bit weaker.
And also you can't Wrench Caliber, right?
Yeah.
So you can just coin Wrench Caliber with the Militia Commander. I don't think you really need to hold on to coin for that much longer.
Yeah.
Not with this hand, anyway. You can play it all very, very nicely.
I think squeezing it in now is a good idea. Like with all the cards drawn from Shaxy, it's much more likely he has a playable turn.
Right.
So saving the Dynamatic to deal with something a bit later might...
And also as well, like coin 8 to 9 doesn't really change much in the deck. Overall,
Yeah.
it's not like a power turn, right? It's not like you're coining on turn 6 into 7 to play Boom. Like those days are past now.
Yeah.
So I do like this overall. Shaxy has approximately 1 billion cards in hand. And now a Van Cleave. So he can make one rather large gentleman there. But not even in a particularly efficient way. Ooh. Next turn. So Shaxy could play the Miscreant along with the Corsair.
Yep.
And just do it and say, well, this turn's going to suck, but I will gain something to be able to, say, play the Togwaggle the turn after, maybe. But this is honestly a little bit scary for Shaxy. He's on 16 health and being pressured on board.
Prep of this. Alright. This is a good
This is
swing
good
turn.
for Pathra, if anything. The prep of this means that Dynamatic's just even better.
Yep.
Because it just straight up kills the Harrison easily.
Which is interesting why Shaxy's considering
Eviscerating
using it on the
one thing,
rover.
yeah.
Also plays around Ziliax, pushing a bit of extra damage if it gets magnetized.
Nice play, actually, from Shaxy there. I was going to say, if he actually eviscerated the Militia Commander, Patra's probably happy with that outcome. Not even just okay with it, but happy.
Warpath never going to end up clearing here. Not a great way to deal with this. I'm not sure if you want to brawl this too much either, but maybe you have to. You could Militia Commander double Warpath and use the other one on the board to kill the Edwin, but that feels like awful.
I was thinking of Militia Commander into the 5-4, just kill it off and just let them have an 8-8.
Yeah.
Because you've got so much health, you can always brawl later, and Shaxy can't realistically expect to ride this game on just one 8-8, just repeatedly hitting face, right?
Also, if you've seen 2 Eviscerates, it's not going to be easy to deal with the 2-4. And the 2-4's not threatening, but at 16 health, a couple of swings, a boom.
Yeah, exactly. Or there's always the do this, brawl, and then try in Militia Commander the Harrison if it lives, but that's just kind of feels a little bit weaker to me overall.
Petra choosing to use a Warpath here.
Setting up for a Dynamatic next turn.
Uh-huh.
Or a Militia Commander, depending on, you know, what Shaxy does.
But I definitely like pushing the damage face. Probably time to get the miscreant down. Scheme should be shuffling, I believe, 9 or 10 at this point. At the end of this turn, I believe it'll be 10.
He evolves, not too fantastic right now. Always nice for the misprint himself,
Yep.
but in general, not the most powerful outcome he could have got here. Not really
I
close.
think you might want to hold on to them this time. Oh.
Ooh.
I was going to say maybe you want to hold on to them if you're going for the same game plan where you can kind of spread out the lackeys over a couple turns with the Togwaggles you're shuffling in. If that's the game plan he's going for. Maybe he wants to be a bit more aggressive.
There's a shake of the head from Shaxy. I think he was considering it, but I feel like evolving a 2-1 feels like a bit of a waste.
Yeah.
Or evolving a 1-drop, should I say.
I like it better on the Stretch Corsair. And this lets you replay the Edwin. This is good.
Also, still not too bad for Pathra, because this wide board just says, hello, Mr. Brawl.
Right?
So, you know, there was basically Pathra set up a win-win scenario where if there weren't that many minions played and the Van Cleef wasn't bounced, then she could kill it. And if there were that many minions played, then she just presses Brawl, sees what happens, and hopes Van Cleef doesn't.
Oh no. This was disastrous.
Okay, well, that wasn't part of the plan.
Yeah, no, that was not part of the plan at all.
So, armor up next turn, Omega Assembly into Devastator.
Yeah. You could play out the commander. This lets her draw an execute, or if she does discover a Devastator or find another one from her deck, she can play it and actually kill off the Edwin this way. So taking the 12 is definitely going to be quite a big hit, but it doesn't mean she's out just yet.
Funnily enough, I think this is when you can go with Tog, right? There's been so much committed into this Van Cleef that I would have thought just getting Tog in there is worth it, but maybe Shaxy feels he has to wait for the Myras to be able to empty the deck and guarantee the draws.
Well, I mean, you'd have to play the Togwaggle without the lackey because I don't know if she wants, or if Shaxy wants to actually evolve the Edwin, because that's the only lackey he had in hand at the time. So to activate the Togwaggle, I don't know if he wants to give up on the Edwin. But even just playing a naked Togwaggle and going to scheme wouldn't have been terrible. But I think you might dilute your draws too much at that point. Drawing 6 mana 5/5s. Actually, at this point, might not even be bad.
Yeah, I mean, it's not terrible. You kind of just want to end the game, right? And now there can be Omega Devastator to check. Sorry, Omega Assembly to check. And then if you whiff, you can boom Warpath and cross your fingers.
Yeah.
Because I don't see anything else.
I think as Pathra, you just want to be seeing exactly Omega Devastator Ziliax from this assembly.
Or to be fair, the Dynamat, if you get Omega Devastator, Dynamatic clears up afterwards, right?
Yeah.
Or at least helps. It won't clear the board.
I think his double Dynomatic here is super unlikely to clear the Edwin.
Yeah. I think you have to do this. See what happens.
Okay.
That's so big. You always get a Devastator. It's just true.
Could consider Hecklebotting, but that could be very dangerous. She has to consider if she wants to Dynomatic and...
Hecklebot might be fine, right? What are the big minions?
Leroy? Togwaggle? Nomi?
Yeah. Oh my god, it's Leroy. Oh wow. Well, Nomi and Tog, I guess, yeah.
This is lethal. If Shaxy sees it, he can play either Nomi or the... Yeah. So, rushing the Nomi... If he rushes the Nomi into the 3... Uh-oh. I think this is a mislethal. If you rush the Nomi into the 3/8 with your dagger, you have 13 damage on board. Right? You play Chef Nomi from hand.
Yeah.
Double tap, double pay. This might still be fine.
Yeah, I mean, that looks good to me. Is this getting through anyway?
Yeah, this gets through too,
Right.
but this wasn't guaranteed.
Oh, wow. Okay, well, the Hecklebot looked like it was going to save the day along with the Devastator, but it was not meant to be, and Shaxy takes the win. I will say, though, it didn't look easy, did it? You know,
No.
apart from the the first game that looked a little bit better, but with this anti-warrior deck against Patra's just core warrior, it did not look like it was easy at all, and I feel like it was made more of a struggle of than it needed to be, maybe, with that list. I don't know.
Perhaps.
I am no late game, crazy rogue list expert, but it definitely looked tough, and even to the end there, if that literally just wasn't Leroy,
Yeah.
there was a chance to survive, and I think the big note is just no Dr. Boom makes a big impact in Warrior.
For sure.
It's huge. We can check out the results today as this is all 5 matches done for the Asia Pacific region. So we kicked off the day with Surrender, taking a 2-1 victory over Staz, which again was a surprise. I thought Staz was going to take that one. Frosty lost 1-2 versus Flurry. Then Alu Timu beat Tom 2-0. Rivia's 2-0 with my favorite match of the series, just because I love that mage deck. And then Shaxy, we just saw take 2-1 over Pathra. So what have you made of day one, Language Hacker? What have you made of these results and also the decks and how everything's performed?
Well, it's been nice to see a variety of matchups so far. It looks like across the board, Rogue's been winning quite a bit. The one upset for Rogue anyways would have been Rivius versus Chansu, but we've seen that Mage can do some crazy stuff. I'm looking forward to see if some of the other mages are going to have similar outcomes going forward.
Yeah, I think as well, what for me, I honestly believe, and I'll have to go back and look at the VODs, of course, but I feel like Staz could have beat Surrender if he just played a little bit differently. I felt he played a little bit too slow in some of the matchups, and that's like, so if that was the case, that's 2 different mages, doing extremely well in a field that they not shouldn't, but no one was really expecting the mages to really kick it out there. But yeah, it's a cool first day, and definitely cool to see a lot of different matchups. As you said, we're not seeing tons and tons of the same mirror match, which is always nice. But yeah, I'm just hyped to see the rest of the weekend, to watch EU and then to watch Americas and see how they all play off each other in the following weeks. Is going to be awesome. But that's going to be it for us today. But just remember, EU's coming up soon, and then Americas are going to be played out. So at twitch.tv/play Hearthstone, you've got Hearthstone for the whole weekend, pretty much non-stop. But from Language Hacker and myself, thanks a lot for watching the first day, and we'll see you tomorrow.